Join me today, not at the nature reserve where I normally record, but instead at this rather beautiful Victorian park. The reason being that my car, my Audi, make sure everyone heard that, is being serviced and I've got about an hour and a half to kill. Last week I posted a video called People Being Awful, and that one hit the algorithm and got some pretty good viewing figures, so today I'll be doing more of the same. Please bear in mind that in all the clips which we'll see, these people have recorded themselves of their own free will. In most cases, edited the videos and posted them online. I can only assume because they think it paints them in a good light. It's been a long time since I was on the dating scene, but something I've noticed online is there seems to be an increasing number of women who, shall we say, overestimate their value, who demand that any man who wants to date them doesn't just have to be financially stable and have his own house and car, but be able to provide everything for her and, invariably, her offspring. Because these women are usually unemployed single mothers whose children all have different surnames. And the woman in question will come with more baggage than the arrivals hall at Heathrow Airport. So let's start with this charming woman.
There's no way that I'm going to date a man that makes under $200K a year. That don't even make no sense. I'm not trying to struggle. I can struggle by myself. Okay? Why would I want to struggle with a man? So if you're not making $200K, you can't date me. You trying to date me? I only date millionaires, baby. Like, you better get it right.
Yes, gents, you have to be a millionaire to date that. I don't want to be overly cruel, but rich blokes tend to have girlfriends who are more pleasant to look at. And it's not like she has any redeeming qualities. This is my girlfriend. Yes, she's fuck ugly, but she also has a terrible personality. And I know I'm casting aspersions here, but I bet she's been ridden more times than a donkey on Blackpool seafront. She's had more cocks than a poultry farm. And she says she only dates millionaires. She doesn't say which currency, because isn't a Vietnamese 50,000 dong note about 10 quid? 50,000 dong, I bet that's what she's had. Thinking of people being awful, I think preachy vegans are right up there. Not all vegans, of course. I think being a vegan is quite a noble thing. I have many vegan friends. It's fine. They can hang out with me. But for those people where it's their entire personality, being a vegan is all they talk about. It's all they think about.
These beautiful things that I've got, please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God, don't.
In some ways, I think that tattoo is a good thing because it reminds me of people who wear pronoun badges. And we know to avoid them like the fucking plague. And it will be hilarious if there are any animal products used in that tattoo ink, and now she's got it on her for the rest of her natural life. However, I have an argument against veganism, and it's bacon. Because men who eat bacon are less likely to marry 9-year-old girls, run around stabbing people, or run into a busy crowd and randomly explode. Next up, we'll see a man who, if you followed me for a while, we've seen before. Last time he was getting ready for his birthday, wearing a ridiculous blue wig, was dressed somewhere between being an anime character and a Japanese schoolgirl, and had makeup that looked like he'd done it whilst he was drunk at night on a roller coaster. But then he was in the privacy of his own home. Surely he must be different out in public.
Check out what I just found. I found the Decora Girls dolls. They have this big one. I wish I had room for it right now. And they have the tiny blind boxes. I definitely plan on getting 2 of these ones. I wish there was some kind of way I could cheat and see who's inside. The packaging is so freaking cute, and I feel like there's about 4 of them that I really want. I really hope I get the main character, Decora. It looks like these are series 1. I'm curious if there's going to be other series coming soon. I hope I chose wisely. Wish me luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we found the man for whom Dylan Mulvaney would say, seriously, mate, you need to calm it down a bit. And I know he's not hurting anyone. But out there somewhere in the world is a woman who carried him for 9 months, who gave birth to him, who saw him grow up to be a young man, and now as a fully grown adult, he's out in public getting overly excited about toys aimed at very young girls, albeit whilst demonstrating his ability to read. And mate, if you're trying to look like a teenage girl, it's probably best to lose the beard. Now, I'm saying all this fully aware that I'm currently wearing a Wednesday Addams backpack, and there are 4 reasons for this. The first is the wife bought it for me. Secondly, wearing all black and being a bit gothic, that's sort of my thing. I've been doing that for 3 decades. The TV show I absolutely loved. And lastly, and most importantly, the actress who plays Wednesday Addams, 21-year-old Jenna Ortega, I would fuck her into next week. We just saw a man who looked a bit like a schoolgirl. If you're eating, pause the video now. I'm guessing that man is around my age, dressing up as an Asian schoolgirl and posting the footage online. What an absolute pervert. And there are people who'll know him. Family and friends, probably not that many friends aside from those with the same very specialised interest. But there will be family who now, in June, are already worrying about what excuse they can come up with to not invite him over for Christmas. And somewhere there's an office where the new starter is being told, whatever you do, don't ask Colin what he gets up to at the weekends. So, from a schoolgirl to a school teacher. These segues are on fire today.
It's important that we decenter one form of English as the correct and recognize that we're all speaking dialects. But I'm a teacher and old habits die hard. And so somewhere in the middle of the conversation, I said, speaking English correctly doesn't mean that you're any better educated or more intelligent than somebody else. And my daughter said, whitely. You mean speaking English whitely, not correctly. And I was just like, yes, that's exactly what I meant. Thank you.
Clearly, that was an emotional experience for her. You could almost feel the white guilt radiating off her. And I agree with her to a point that different accents and dialects affect the way with which we pronounce certain words. But I'm making the assumption she's talking about African American, or rather the African American version of the English language. But here's the thing. That can actually be traced back to the English West Country. Because when slaves were being transported from Africa to the Americas, their first contact with the English language was with sailors from, say, Bristol or Cornwall. So in a way, African American English is cultural appropriation. Of course it's not. That whole idea is absolute bollocks. And if you're not from the UK, the West Country, if you meet a man from there, there's a good chance his wife is also his sister and his mother. And I can say that because I'm from Norfolk. And if I were to become famous, the TV show Who Do You Think You Are would never interview me because us Norfolkians are so inbred they can't accurately trace our ancestry. So that was a teacher explaining to us why certain people speak a certain way. Now we have someone educating us on the words we should and shouldn't use.
He or she. They. A boy or a girl. A person. It is so much easier to just use gender-neutral terms. I know I'm really outspoken about, putting in a little bit of effort to adapt your language, but this is negative effort to adapt your language. It's easier to just say they, or a person, or people, instead of boys and girls, or he or she. It's really not that hard.
I see your point. 4 words. Fuck off. That's 2. Yes, it does work. Sorry, maybe I'm a bit old-fashioned, but I don't think that mental illness should be pampered to. it should be treated, and just because there are a handful of people who refuse to accept that they are male or female, we shouldn't change our language. And I will say, I had some dick in the comments yesterday making the point, you need to educate yourself about intersex people. Mate, intersex people never get involved in this shit. So I'll double down on using gendered language, because what's our new friend going to do about it? He doesn't strike me as someone who spends his evenings kickboxing. But I've saved the worst for last. If you've followed me for a while now, we've seen this person before over on the other channel. She is a non-binary teaching assistant, or rather was a teaching assistant, until she was fired for making TikToks encouraging children to go on puberty blockers. The original clip is 3 minutes long. I've shortened it because I don't want to be prosecuted for psychological torture.
I got misgendered last night in a brand new way I didn't know possible, and we need to talk about it. Getting misgendered when you're by yourself sucks. Some days when it happens, you're just like, oof, that sucks. I'm probably gonna think about that all afternoon. And sometimes it sends you down a rabbit hole in your own brain. Damn, was it the clothes I was wearing? Should I have tried harder to present differently? Was it my voice? However, your whole entire queer group getting misgendered all at the same time is a bonding experience. Me and my whole group of queer friends walked out of a bar last night, and the bartender goes, "Good night, girls. Have a nice night." And as soon as the last person in our friend group walked out of the door, everybody let loose. During Pride Month? Are you joking? Bro! There's quite...
First up, she thinks she's funny. She's definitely someone we should laugh at, but not laugh with. And she's been misgendered. Well, technically, she's female. Is it the way she's dressed? Well, clothes that size tend to be quite androgynous. If they get much bigger, they become car covers. Is it her voice? That is the most annoying thing I've ever heard. For me, she's locked in joint first place with Jeffrey Marsh for being the most irritating person on the internet. What's terrifying is knowing that there's a group of them. Suddenly I understand why Americans are desperate to keep hold of their guns. And I think the bartender was just being very polite. Saying girls, that's taking a punt. If it were me, it would be, excuse me, abominations upon the earth. Or, be careful you don't go near the sea, because being that size and making those weird high-pitched noises, Greenpeace are going to turn up and throw you in. The whole during Pride Month and saying that she's queer. Queer used to be a slur against homosexual men. In 2024, queer just means attention-seeking fucktard, because that's what she is. And every time I post on this topic, in the comments, I'll get L's, G's and B's, the people for whom the letter corresponds with their sexuality, not their ridiculous made-up identity, saying we want no part of this shit. And I can't say I blame them. That's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe, and as ever, thanks for watching. You join me today, not at the Nature Reserve, where I normally record, but instead at this charming Victorian park. There are too many people round. It's been a long time since I was on the dating scene, if it's still called the dating scene. But I've noticed online that there are many buckets. You have to be a millionaire in order to date that. I don't want to be overly cruel, but rich men tend to have bucket. I think what I'll do is I'll pretend to be a TikToker, because that way most sensible people will assume I'm deranged and leave me alone. Although my phone does have to be that way up. Are we meant to assume that there's a squirrel? That video was extremely uncomfortable to film. There are way more people here than at the Nature Reserve. Anyway, now I'm going to go and pick up my Audi.